Who in the league did you, when you were the last couple of years, did you really particularly like to watch?
This year, in the playoffs, I really loved Jokic. He was the guy I watched the most. Embiid also. But in the past couple of years, it was more Giannis and KD a lot.
The concept of the selfless star, which, by the way, San Antonio had one of those in Tim Duncan, and they're rare, but in some ways, and I spoke with Luke about this when we were teammates in Dallas, like in some ways, a lot of them tend to be Europeans. Jokic is an example of that. Having played with Luka, Giannis is another example. I think Steph's like that. And increasingly, it feels like those are the guys that are the best player on the best teams. What do you think it is about the way you were raised, European culture? I don't know. Like I'm trying to sort of understand this, like the disparity in culture in America versus overseas.
The game is so different that some stuff you can do in the States, you can't really do them in Europe. In most leagues, in the EuroLeague, in the Spanish or French league, if you play one-on-one all game, you're just gonna end up with, maybe you might score 25 points, but you're gonna end up with 7 turnovers and lose the game. But it's plus, as I've almost always been the youngest player, I've always had to to share the ball and to be truly a part of that team. But I truly believe that the way to become the best player on the best team is not only to score 20 or 30 points and to get 15 rebounds. It's also to make your teammates better.
Yeah, I think that's what the best players do. And a number of those guys, look, there was a poll today that I was reading. I believe it was in The Athletic with a few writers. The reality is, Steph and LeBron, whether they win another championship or not, they are in the later stages of their career. And they have been the face of the NBA for roughly 10 plus years. Probably Steph since 15, LeBron for maybe a little longer, but then there was Kobe was sort of intermixed in there. And I think some of the characteristics of that, obviously winning at a high level, spectacular play on the court. But then the third piece is really the personality and sort of embracing being the guy, being the face. And look, there's nothing wrong with how Tim Duncan handled his career. There's nothing wrong with how Jokic is handling his career. Giannis comes to mind as someone who's really sort of embraced that. Have you thought at all about that aspect of your career? Not the on-court part, but just sort of embracing being one of or the face of the NBA and what that entails.
Yeah, it's not pressure, but it's responsibility. I think it brings responsibility towards the people you can influence. And I've had a really small glimpse of that when I arrived in New York. There was so many people around me, and I realized like they were asking for autographs and stuff. And I realized when you represent something to people, you gotta influence them positively. And I think I told you I don't like to leave things to random. And if I can influence people, I'm gonna try to influence them in a good way. And we in New York, Spider-Man said, "Great power brings great responsibility."
Yes,
right?
yes.
You can't just. I believe you got power like this. You gotta use it for good.
With great talent comes great responsibility.
Yes.
Hey, what's up? Just want to thank you guys for watching our channel. Please hit that subscribe button.